many people as possible. On last count, we're approaching 15,000 people being vaccinated in New South Wales. It's around 14,600 at this stage, but by the end of the day I'm confident we'll pass that and exceed the 15,000 mark. It's a real sign of the planning that's gone into this and the positive way in which all of our officials have gone about their business. And can I really extend my gratitude to those who put their hand up to get the jab, but of course to those who've made sure that the system is running like clockwork. Pleasingly, as the federal government has announced, the doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine have arrived, and New South Wales will be in a position to start administering the AstraZeneca vaccine from the 10th of March, which is next Wednesday. Pleasingly, we will be administering the AstraZeneca vaccine doses from St George and Hornsby hospitals, and those teams are now being stood up as we speak. And obviously we are running separate systems. At this stage we want to keep those hubs that are administering the Pfizer vaccine separate from those hubs administering the AstraZeneca vaccine. But to be clear, there's no doubt that at a point in time in the next few weeks, the volume and supply of the AstraZeneca vaccine will completely roll over the top of the Pfizer in terms of the ability for us to get the vaccine out. I look forward to being able to get the vaccine myself, as I'm sure Dr Chant and Minister Hazzard are, but it's really an opportunity for us to look at how we can scale up that supply, and also make sure that not only are we giving it to those categories outlined in 1A and 1B, the New South Wales government believes strongly that we merge those two categories to get the vaccine out as soon as possible, but also that we offer it to the families of quarantine workers in that first tranche, as well as the families of aircrew. We know there's domestic aircrew which are high risk, and we want to make sure they and their families are vaccinated as well. So in the first phase, New South Wales Government will be combining phases 1A and 1B, and certainly also extending the opportunity to the families of quarantine workers in this first phase, as well as the families of aircrew who are at considerable risk. Pleasingly, there's also been a good rate of compliance of businesses, because as we move forward with the vaccine rollout, we're really conscious that we need people to comply to the existing COVID-safe rules. We are looking to the future. We are looking, as you know, from March 17, easing further restrictions, but we need to have confidence that businesses and patrons are doing the right thing. And pleasingly, we did up the ante on compliance, and there was just one venue which required attention, and the vast majority of businesses and patrons are doing the right thing. And can I please encourage everybody to do that? Whilst testing rates had dipped a bit lower in recent weeks, pleasingly yesterday we had over 17,000 people come forward and get tested, which is a really good sign. It means we're not complacent, we're not letting down our guard just because the vaccine rollout has started, and that's exactly the position we need to be in, because the risk of the virus is still there, the risk of it seeping out of our quarantine system and into the broader community is still there, and we need to make sure we are on top of that. We are also, and Minister Hazzard will outline this, keen to get some information from the Commonwealth on not only the number of doses we're going to get, we've yet to receive that in writing, but also keen to know which of our aged care facilities have received the vaccine, so that we can be ready in case our health system has to deal with any matters relating to that. Pleasingly, we've already stood up those 99 hubs in rural and regional New South Wales, so in due course, when the AstraZeneca vaccine, when the supplies are available, we will continue to roll that out through rural and regional New South Wales as well. On a non-related matter, during or just after the Cabinet meeting, I was advised of the ICAC investigation into Mr Sidoti, the member for Drummoyne. I've had a chance very briefly just a few seconds ago to speak to Mr Sidoti. He has offered me his resignation from the ministry. It means that Dr Lee will continue to act in those portfolios until I determine a replacement in the near future. I just wanted to make that comment before I hand over to Dr Chant to provide more details on the health aspects of what I've spoken about. Thank you.
So New South Wales recorded no new locally acquired cases of COVID in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night, the 45th consecutive day without a locally acquired case. Now, whilst that is pleasing, we do have to recognise that with us receiving international returned travellers, as well as the fact that we have our ports and our airports receiving critical and essential freight, we still remain at risk of an incursion event, so the introduction of COVID into the community. So it is critical that we continue to practice those COVID-safe behaviours. It is pleasing to see the speed and pace of the rollout of the program, and I want to extend my appreciation to all those involved in that enormous logistic exercise, as well as those who have rolled up their arms for the vaccine. The focus on quarantine workers and border workers particularly assists us in ensuring that we ring-fence and further decrease that risk of incursion events triggering the need for broader community action associated with local community transmission. It's been pleasing also to see the testing numbers increase. We've had 17,047 tests in the last 24-hour period. And again, thank you very much for all of those people that have come forward for testing. It is going to be part of what we need to continue to do, even in the presence of vaccine. Clearly, throughout 2021, we're going to need to calibrate and change our public health response as we progressively get the community vaccinated. But at this point, please continue to get tested, even with those most minimal of symptoms. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Kerry. Well, I'd also just like to thank the incredible health staff at the front line at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital Hub, Westmead and also Liverpool. There's an incredible energy and buzz at each of these hubs as the frontline quarantine staff and health staff are coming in for their vaccinations. And I can assure the community that the medical community is very keen to get their vaccinations, and so the broader community should also be, in due course, very keen to get their vaccinations.